Clockwork, or All Wound Up, by Phillip Pullman. The stranger bowed.
"Dr Kalmenius of Schatzberg at your service,"
he said in a harsh, grating voice.
"I have come a long way tonight, and I am cold. A glass of brandy."
The landlord poured it hastily. The stranger drained it at once and held out the glass for more. Still, nobody moved.
"So silent,"
said Dr Kalmenius, looking around mockingly.
"One might think one had arrived among the dead."
The burgomaster swallowed hard and got to his feet.
"I beg your pardon, Dr. Kalmenius, but the fact is that—"
And he looked at Fritz, who was staring at Dr Kalmenius with horror. The young man was as pale as the paper in his hand. His eyes were nearly starting from his head, his hair was standing on end, and a ghastly sweat had broken out on his forehead.
"Yes, my good sir,"
said Dr Kalmenius. I, said Fritz, and swallowed convulsively. The burgomaster intervened. "The fact is that our young friend is a writer of stories, Doctor, and he was reading us one of his tales when you arrived." "Ah, how delightful," said Dr Kalmenius. "I should greatly enjoy hearing the rest of your story, young sir. Please, don't feel inhibited by my presence. Carry on, as if I weren't here at all." A little cry broke from Fritz's throat. With a sudden movement he crumpled all his sheets of paper together and thrust them into the stove, where they blazed up high.
"I beg you," he cried, "have nothing to do with this man."
And like someone who has seen the devil, he ran out of the inn as fast as he could. Dr Kalmenius broke into a wild and mocking laugh, and at that several other good citizens followed Fritz's example and left their pipes and their mugs of beer, grabbed their coats and hats, and were off, not even daring to look the stranger in the eye. Herr Ringelmann and the burgomaster were almost the last to leave. The old clockmaker thought he should say something to a fellow craftsman, but his tongue was mute, and the burgomaster thought he should either welcome the eminent Dr Kalmenius or send him on his way, but his nerve failed, and the two old men took their sticks and hurried away as fast as they could. Little Gretel was clinging to her father, the landlord, watching it all with wide eyes.
"Well," said Dr Kalmenius, "you keep early hours in this town. I will take another glass of brandy."
The landlord poured with a shaking hand and ushered Gretel out, for this was no company for a child. Dr Kalmenius drained the brandy at once and called for yet another.
"And perhaps this gentleman will join me,"
he said, turning to the corner of the bar. For there sat Karl still. In the rush of all the other customers to leave, he had not moved. He turned his glowering face, now flushed with drink and sullen with self-hatred, to glare at the stranger, but he could not meet those mocking eyes, and he dropped his gaze to the floor.
"Bring a glass for my companion,"
said Dr Kalmenius to the landlord.
"And then you may leave us."
The landlord put the bottle and another glass on the bar and fled. Only 5 minutes before, the parlour had been full to bursting, but now Dr Kalmenius and Karl were alone, and the inn was so quiet that Karl could hear the whisper of flames in the stove and the ticking of the old clock in the corner, even over the beating of his own heart. Dr Kalmenius poured some brandy and pushed the glass along the bar. Karl said nothing. He bore the stranger's stare for nearly a minute, and then he banged his fist on the counter and cried, "God damn you, what do you want?"
"Of you, sir? I want nothing from you."
"You came here on purpose to jeer at me."
"To jeer at you? Come, come, we have better clowns than you in Schatzberg. Should I come all this way to laugh at a young man whose face shows nothing but unhappiness? Come, drink up, look cheerful. It is your morning of triumph tomorrow."
Karl groaned and turned away, but Dr Kalmenius's mocking voice continued.
"Yes, The unveiling of a new figure for the famous clock of Glockenheim is an important occasion. Do you know I tried to find a bed in 5 different inns before I came here, and they were all full up. Visitors from all over Germany. Gentlemen and ladies, craftsmen, clockmakers, experts in all kinds of machinery, all come to see your new figure, your masterpiece. Isn't that something to be joyful about? Drink, my friend, drink.
Karl snatched the glass and swallowed the fiery liquor. "There won't be a new figure," he muttered.
What's this?
"I said there won't be a new figure. I haven't made one. I couldn't. I wasted all my time, and when it was too late, I found I couldn't do it. There you are. Now you can laugh at me. Go on."
"Oh, dear,
"Dear," said Dr. Kalmenius solemnly.
Laugh. I wouldn't dream of it. I've come here to help you.